Welcome to Unit 1 Syllables. This video is divided into 3 sections. Section 1 deals with syllable structure. Section 2 deals with syllable division. Section 3 deals with syllabic consonants. Let's begin with syllable structure, Section 1. The basic syllable structure consists of an onset, a nucleus, and a coda. The consonants before the nucleus form the onset. The vowel in the syllable usually forms the nucleus. And the consonants after the nucleus, after the vowel, form the coda. Again, consonants before the nucleus, onset. The vowel of the syllable, nucleus. Consonants after the nucleus, coda. Both the onset and the coda are optional, but the nucleus is obligatory. You can have a syllable without an onset or without a coda, but not without a nucleus. The onset and the coda are optional. The nucleus is obligatory. Let's see this in an example. We have the word bed. Where there is a nucleus, the vowel, there is one consonant before the vowel, the onset, ba, and there is one consonant after the vowel, the coda, da, bed. Normally, we draw what is called a syllable tree to represent the syllable structure of a word. The Greek letter sigma indicates syllable. And we have this 3-part syllable structure in bed: onset, nucleus, and coda. Now, I would like you to stop for a minute and think of words that rhyme with bed. Take a piece of paper, pause the video, and write them on a list. Words that rhyme with bed. Pause the video and write them down as a list. Okay, you may have found something like this. We have the word bed, and the following words rhyme with it: head, said, bled, stead. Now, what changes in this list of words? And the answer to that question would be that what is changing is the initial consonant in each of the syllables. Otherwise, the onset. The onset here, 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 and here. However, as you can see, the vowel and the coda do not change in these different words. They remain the same. This is why these words rhyme. So it seems that we have another element of syllable structure at work here. So we have the onset that we have defined before, the consonant or consonants before the vowel. But we also have what we call the rhyme of the syllable, which is composed of the vowel plus the consonant after the vowel. In other words, the rhyme consists of the nucleus and the coda. And here we have a syllable tree for the word bed. The syllable consists of an onset, a nucleus, and a coda. The nucleus and coda form the rhyme. Another example, the word bled. This word, which is monosyllabic, so consists of only one syllable, has an onset, blah, a nucleus, and a coda. Again, the nucleus and coda together, they form the rhyme. Now, in English, onsets can be complex, like in the word bled, where there are two consonants in the onset position. The nucleus can also be complex in English because sometimes you can find a diphthong in a word, as in bite. And finally, codas can be complex as well, as in the word beds. We call this complex because there is more than one consonant at the end in the codas, or more than one consonant at the beginning in the onsets. Now, these complex onsets and codas, in particular the codas, are sometimes very problematic for people like me who speak Spanish as their first language. Now, can you think of words that have complex onset of 3 consonants? Again, pause the video, take a piece of paper, write down the examples, and go to the next slide. Pause the video, write on a piece of paper your examples, and go to the next slide. So let's see what you found. Whatever word you have found probably starts with S. You will find examples like spray, like splash, like screw, or like street. These onsets have more than 2 consonants. They have 3. But you will find that in English, whenever you have an onset that has more than 2 consonants, it always begins with the fricative S. And this would be the syllable tree for the word spray. A complex onset of 3 consonants and a complex nucleus of 1 diphthong, and no coda in this case. The coda, like we said before, is optional. Now think of this next question. Can you think of words that have a complex coda of 3 consonants? Again, pause the video, take your time, and write the words in a piece of paper. Then go to the next slide. So let's see some examples that you may have gotten. Okay, we have the word helped. It has a coda of more than 2 consonants. It has 3 consonants in the coda position, helped. We have also the word months with 3 consonants in the coda position. Or we have the word text, where we have again 3 consonants in the coda position. Now again, for speakers of Spanish as a native language like me, these complex codas in English can be quite difficult to pronounce sometimes. Now let's go to section 2, syllable division. We're going to see how syllables are divided in English, and to do this first, I'd like you to try to remember, to recall what is manner of articulation. A phonetic term that you may have seen before in your phonetics courses. Now, if you remember, consonants are produced by different types of obstruction or constriction made by the articulators. The articulators may close off the oral tract, narrow it, or approach each other. So these degrees of constriction create different consonants. This is what we call manner of articulation. Basically, how the air is obstructed in the vocal tract when you pronounce a consonant. As you can see in this figure, the greatest constriction is made when you say a stop or a plosive, when you articulate a fricative, an approximant, and a vowel. The greatest constriction is a stop, and the least constriction is a vowel. The airflow is obstructed when you say a stop, a little bit less obstructed when you say a fricative, less obstructed when you say an approximant, and there is basically very little obstruction when you say a vowel. These are called manner of articulation. Now, we can place these manners of articulation on a scale from plus to minus. Plus will be very open, vowels. Minus will be closed, plosives. And we call this characteristic of consonants and vowels, of manners of articulation, sonority. This is how loud, how much amplitude the consonant has. Those that have little amplitude are less sonorous than those that have more amplitude, like approximants, which are more sonorous. So this is a scale. Now, we can place sounds on a sonority scale, like for the word bled that you have here. And we can see that the initial element, a plosive, has 0 sonority. The lateral is more sonorous, so the line goes up. The vowel is the most sonorous, so it is close to the upper range of the sonority scale. And again, the da is a plosive, is less sonorous than the vowel. What we find here is called a syllable peak, and that tells you that this is a syllable. It coincides with the vowel in the syllable, the vowel being the most sonorous element in the syllable. So sonority is another way to know when another syllable begins. For example, in the word tracking, there are 2 vowels, and because they are the most sonorous elements, they are in the upper range of the sonority scale, and we call these syllable peaks. Depending on the number of syllable peaks that you find in a word, you will find a number of different syllables. You have 2 sonority peaks in the word tracking, so that tells you that you have 2 syllables. Now, if you look at this other example, the word strange, this is a problem for the sonority scale explanation, because you have here 2 sonority peaks, 2 syllable peaks. Clearly, the fricative s is more sonorous than the plosive t, and the vowel a is more sonorous than the other elements in this word. Intuitively, you know that strange is composed of only one syllable. It is a monosyllabic word. But the sonority scale explanation tells you have two syllables because you have two syllable peaks. This is clearly erroneous. So the sonority scale explanation doesn't work all the time. We need to look onto something else to explain how to divide syllables in English. Again, this is the explanation that we saw before. This is obviously wrong since we know that strange has only one syllable. And sonority is indicating that you have two, because the fricative is more sonorous than the plosive. So the fricative S here is functioning as a deviant sound. Now, we can look at the following words and divide them into syllables. For a number of words, this is very easy and is intuitively more or less clear where one syllable begins and one syllable ends. Manchester, sonority, inside, develop. So most of you probably would say Manchester is syllabified like this. In phonetics, the dot here indicates a syllable break. It means a syllable ends and another one begins. So Manchester would be syllabified Manchester. Sonority, sonority. Inside, inside. And develop, I assume that most of you would say, okay, this word is divided as in here. Develop. However, this is wrong. The word develop is actually syllabified as in the transcription that you have there. Develop. Now, why? Now, to explain this, we have to go back a little bit to the difference between tense and lax vowels. You will remember that tense and lax vowels are applied to English vowels because they behave differently in words. Basically, in a nutshell, what happens is that the tense vowels can occur in either closed or open syllables, and the lax vowels are restricted to occurring only in closed syllables. Now you will remember that a closed syllable is a syllable that has a coda. Very simple. Closed syllable means a syllable that has a coda. Closed syllables end in one or more consonants. On the other hand, open syllables are syllables that don't have a coda, so they end in a vowel. You have two examples here, the word luck and the word law. Luck ends in a consonant. It has a coda, so it is a closed syllable. Law, on the other hand, has no consonant at the end. It doesn't have a coda. So this is an open syllable. Very easy. Now, another difference between tense and lax vowels, phonetically, is that the tense vowels are longer and higher than the lax vowels. And again, as we said before, the tense vowels can occur in either closed or open syllables, whereas lax vowels can occur only in closed syllables. Here you have the list of lax and tense vowels with examples. You can see the tense vowels occurring in open and closed syllables. For example, the tense vowel E, as in be or beat. Be, open syllable, beat, closed syllable. This is a tense vowel, and it can occur in either open or closed syllables. And the same goes with the rest of the vowels here. On the other panel, we have the five lax vowels in English. And as you can see in the examples, bit, bet, bat, but, book, all of them are closed by a consonant. These lax vowels occur in closed syllables. They can never occur in an open syllable. Again, tense vowels can appear in either open or closed syllables, and lax vowels can only appear in closed syllables. So the word develop will be syllabified as in here. Why? Well, we have just seen that this vowel, e, is a lax vowel, and it needs a coda in its syllable. E never occurs in an open syllable. So the lateral that follows this vowel is actually its coda. Now we are ready to go to section 3, syllabic consonants. Now, you may already know, you may have already seen in your phonetics courses that the consonants na and la, the nasal, the alveolar nasal, and the alveolar lateral, may be syllabic. This means that they can be the nucleus of a syllable. And when these consonants form a syllable, when they are syllabic, they are in the center of the syllable, in the nucleus of the syllable, and they are called syllabic. Now, when does this happen? Basically, when you have schwa followed by the nasal, the alveolar nasal, or the lateral alveolar, in the same syllable. Again, schwa followed by the alveolar nasal, alveolar lateral, in the same syllable. The nasal and the lateral become syllabic. The diacritic for a syllabic consonant, as you may already know, is an understroke. Now, the alveolar nasal may be syllabic if it is preceded by an obstruent. For example, listen or station. Now, you also have to consider that the alveolar nasal may be preceded by more than one consonant. But the syllabic consonant is not possible if the preceding consonant is a nasal. Therefore, golden may have a syllabic N, golden, but London may not. And this is because in London there is a nasal here preceding the obstruent. Now the difference between obstruent and sonorant that we're going to look at is something that you need to take into account. We're going to see what the difference is between obstruent and its counterpart, sonorant. The difference is very simple. Obstruents are sounds made with a constriction which impedes the passage of air in the vocal tract. And sonorants are sounds made with a constriction which does not impede the passage of air in the vocal tract and that are spontaneously voiced. Now, according to these definitions, obstruents are the plosives, the fricatives, and the affricates. The obstruents can be voiceless or voiced. On the other hand, the sonorants are the nasals and the approximants. The lateral consonants are included in the approximants. So you have central and lateral approximants. Now the sonorants are spontaneously voiced. So again, obstruents are plosives, fricatives, and affricates. Sonorants are nasals and approximants, including the lateral approximant. Now, the alveolar lateral may be syllabic if it is preceded by at least one consonant that is not a sonorant. So we have the examples people, trouble, simple, and pistol. In these examples, the alveolar lateral is preceded by obstruents. In the case of simple, it is preceded by a sonorant, ma, and an obstruent, pa. And with this, we have reached the end of this video.